Hi everyone, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, here I'm a 65-year-old woman with transgender experience, currently in transition, and I make content for everybody. So I hope you all had a good week this week. Not much really new going on, as you can see. This is, whoops, I'm dressed for work today, and working remote, but it's besides the point. I did have someone ask me if maybe I could start wearing something maybe a little bit more revealing, but just to let you know, that's not my style. My style is I'm pretty much a classics type of gal. I really like wearing to the knee skirts, maybe just slightly above the knee, dresses, nothing too short. I mean, let's be realistic. I'm at this point in my life, at this age, no, not going to happen. But anyways, so I also had another question. Someone asked me if, how and when I inform my partner of my wish to transition. Well, a little bit of a backstory. 2 years ago, actually 2 years ago this month, I lost my 15-year-old Whippet. He was um, he was very important and very special to me. And for those of you that don't know what a Whippet is, they're kind of like half the size of a greyhound, really sweet dogs. And it was kind of tough, really, really hard for me when he passed. And I kind of went into a time of some severe depression. And I started back into cross-dressing, something I had done since I was probably around 4 years old. And I always kind of knew that I was different in that I was kind of more like a girl than anything else. So anyways, I got back into cross-dressing a little bit, and I felt really, really good. So, but I still couldn't get rid of the depression. It was really, really hard. And I was probably at the deepest point of my life at that time. Um, Late summer, I was actually starting to become somewhat suicidal. Mostly because of, like I said, I lost my Whippet. And even though I was dressing in private, I felt that I could never truly be who I was. So I started into therapy. And I found a therapist who was willing to work with me, and she has experience in gender therapy, which really, really helpful. So we started talking, and that helped a lot. She encouraged me to really kind of explore my female side. And just about that time, I met a friend locally who's actually another trans gal, and she wanted to meet at a local McDonald's. So I got dressed and I went over there, and I will tell you, it was the first time in my life that I actually went out into public dressed as female. I was scared out of my mind. I could not, I thought everyone in the world was looking at me. So I met this gal at the McDonald's. Oh my God, we had such a wonderful time. We talked for an hour and a half, and she says, "Don't worry, nobody's really even going to notice you." And I'm like, well, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, she was right. Nobody paid any attention to me. Everybody was busy going about their business, and that was about it. Well, that kind of emboldened me. And then afterwards, I started going out to different stores like Walmart, and I even went to a Lowe's and Home Depot and places like that. Nobody paid me any attention whatsoever. So meanwhile, I'm still also in therapy, and my therapist and I talked about telling my wife. Now, at the time, we were married 35 years. We still are married. But anyways, we started talking about it, and my therapist suggested, she goes, in case something goes wrong, she says, you may really want to consider having an alternate place to live if this happens. If my wife didn't accept it very well. So I said, okay. So I had everything lined up, and it was, I think, November 1st of 2021 that I sat my wife down and we started talking, and I kind of explained everything that was going on. And I says, I know this isn't something that you signed up for, but this is, unfortunately, this is who I am, and this is who I need to be. And she thought about it. I know it upset her, because this wasn't what she had signed up for. So, I gave her time to process, and she did think about it, and she did come to some level of acceptance. And I told her, if you wanted me to leave, I'd be willing to leave. And she's like, no, we've been through a lot together. And she's like, I love you for who you are, not how you look. So I'm like, okay, that was wonderful. So, like I said, we kind of sort of worked through it. It was really, I was scared out of my mind when I told her, and I says that, the unfortunate problem was that if I don't do something about this, the downside is I could possibly die, because I told her how depressed I had been, and how I had been suicidal, and I had gotten into therapy. And she says, well, I would rather see you, she goes, even though that I may not accept this at first, she goes, I would rather see you happy than for you to become miserable or stay miserable. So she was somewhat accepting. The first month, I will say, was really kind of hard, not so much for me, but for her. She did ask me to come home one time, because when I would come home, I would not present as female. So she did ask me if I'd be willing to come home presenting as female. So I agreed to, and that was really, really hard for her. It was very hard for her to accept. She was visibly upset for it for probably about 2 or 3 hours, and then she got better. Well, as time moved forward, she became more accepting. And of course, I started hormones shortly thereafter, and she did make the remark about 4 months later to a friend of ours that she saw a difference in me with being on hormones. I wasn't so angry. I wasn't so upset all the time. She really was quite pleased with what was happening. So fast forward actually to about 2 weeks ago, her and I and 2 of our children, they're adults, but anyways, we're going to the movies. And we're driving down the road, and I don't know exactly how the conversation started, but both her and my daughter said, they're so used to me now presenting as female that it's like this is something that happens every day. They're just so used to it. They've become, actually, my daughter, very accepting. Um, but my wife, yes, she was, like I said, at first, very, very um, concerned, mostly for my mental health. She kind of put her emotions aside at first so that I could move forward, but it's still not what she had signed up for. I mean, when we were married, 37 years ago now, um, she had married a man, and she did not expect to be married now to a woman, but she's okay with that. She's like, I would rather spend my last years, she says, with me, because we're both in our 60s now. She's like, I'd rather spend my last years with you as you are, whether you're male or female, she says, and spend them alone. So she's really been good about that. I'm not saying this is going to happen for everyone. Each situation is different. The only thing I can say is maybe, kind of, if you wanted to maybe get a little bit of an understanding from your spouse, is to ask them what their feelings are about LGBTQ or even transgender individuals. If there's a lot of resistance, that they're not very comfortable with them or happy with them, then you probably may need to engage a marriage counselor, because this doesn't sound like it would be something that your marriage would not survive. It's unfortunately the case. It does happen. There are some women that just do not accept it. There are some that fully accept it, and then there's someone like my wife who's kind of in the middle. And she's grown to accept it. She doesn't really see, she's expressed her concerns certain times, but overall, in the past 14 months now, she has been gradually becoming very, very accepting. And like I said, the incident did happen a couple weeks ago where she fully accepts me as female, which is absolutely fine. And we would go grocery shopping together, and I'm like this, and we've been to restaurants together, we've taken trips together, and it's been fine. Like I said, in the beginning, it was hard. It was coming out to her was very, very difficult. But it was something I felt I needed to do. I could not go on living the way I was. So I think that's it, and hopefully that answers your question. So let's see, anything else going on? Not really. I hope everything is going well with you all. Next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, I have my next consult with a plastic surgeon. We'll have to see how that goes. Other than that, there's really not too much else going on. So if anybody has any questions, please, in the comments below. I'm more than willing to talk about anything. If you want me to maybe more detail on something that I've already talked about, please don't be afraid to post a comment. I love hearing from everyone. It's so wonderful how much I've been so well received, even though I have not a lot of subscribers or a lot of viewers, but guess what? What I have is fine, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. So I guess that's it from me for now, and I will probably talk to you next week. So everyone, take care. Have a safe and wonderful week. like, share, and subscribe. And I will be talking to everyone next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye.